Jungkook sighed, putting his hand down. He went inside his room in helper quarters. He noticed that his room's door was locked and the key is with his mom. He felt very thirsty, and the helpers and drivers are not allowed to eat or drink anything from the mansion. Jungkook sighed, going to the mansion to get key from his mother. He went towards the kitchen and he noticed his mother was not there. He saw a helper named Hannah. She is a good friend of his mother. Hannah auntie, you know where is my mother? Jungkook asked, looking around. Jungkook, Somi went to buy groceries, Hannah said, and Jungkook nodded his head. You want something, Kuka? Hannah asked. No thanks, auntie, see you later. Jungkook smiled, walking out of the mansion. Jungkook sighed and slid down in the back of a large tree, resting his head on his knees and closing his eyes. He gulped as his throat became dry from dehydration, not even noticing someone sitting beside him. Jungkook was startled to hear a voice all of a sudden. He looked up and he saw Tae sitting next to him, giggling at Jungkook's shocked face. Calm down, Jungkook, Tae said with a soft smile. Jungkook felt his mind calm down at the sight of Tae's smile. He took a deep breath and let it out slowly. Are you okay? Tae asked again. Jungkook nodded. I'm fine, he said. Here, drink this. I noticed that you didn't drink anything after your mind-blowing match. Tae said, giving his orange juice bottle to Jungkook, but he refused to take it. JK, no thanks, Mr. Taehyung. I'm not thirsty. Jungkook smiled, shaking his head. Tae, call me Tae. Just Tae, and you need to drink this. Tae said, pushing the water bottle into Jungkook's chest. At last, Jungkook nodded his head, taking the bottle from Tae's hand. He drank half of the bottle in a go. He smiled, keeping the bottle down. Tae, and you said you were not thirsty, huh? And Jungkook, I wanted to say that you play soccer very well. Did you go to any classes? Back in Busan, there was a soccer ground near my house. I used to look at the students playing soccer, and somehow I got to know the rules just by looking at them. And no, I didn't go to any classes. It is self-taught. Jungkook smiled, showing his bunny teeth. You're so talented, Jungkook, Tae said with a smile, taking his juice bottle. Jungkook's heart started to race and his palms became sweaty. So Jungkook, suddenly Tae heard Youngjae's voice calling for him. Tae's eyes widened in surprise as he heard Yeonjae's voice calling for him. He quickly sat on Jungkook's lap, snuggling his face more into Jungkook's neck. Jungkook felt his cheeks flush as Tae hid his face in his neck. Jungkook couldn't believe that Kim Taehyung was sitting on his lap. He had always admired Taehyung from afar, but he had never thought that he would ever get a chance to be so close to him. Jungkook could hear Yeonjae's footsteps getting closer and closer. He held his breath and closed his eyes. He hoped that Yeonjae wouldn't find them. Tae pulled himself back with a smile when he heard Yeonjae's footsteps fading away. I hid from him because he's clingy. Tae giggled, not noticing that he is actually sitting on Jungkook's lap. Okay, Jungkook, see you later. Tae smiled, getting up from Jungkook's lap, walking towards his mansion. Jungkook closed his eyes and took a deep breath. Don't ever think about it, Jeon. He is Kim Taehyung, son of the biggest business tycoon of South Korea. He won't fall for a poor boy like you. Jungkook chuckled humorlessly at his thought as he walked towards the helper quarters. Jungkook lay on the floor on a mat, his head resting on his arm. It was nearly 8 p.m. and he was trying to sleep, but it was difficult. The quarters were cramped and uncomfortable, and the floor was hard. He could hear the sounds of the other helpers moving around and talking, and it was very hard to relax. Jungkook smiled when he remembered Tae calling his name in his angelic voice. He opened his eyes slowly, his smile widening when he thought about Taehyung's beautiful smile. Beautiful, Jungkook mumbled and he closed his eyes again with a smile. As a cool breeze hit his face, he could feel the stress of the day melting away. I love you. Jungkook smiled, realizing that he is madly in love with Tae, and it was love at first sight. Miss John came inside the quarters, carrying a cotton cloth bag. What is this, Mom? Jungkook asked, looking at the bag. Jungkook, today Tae was distributing clothes as a charity to his maids and helpers. Tae gave some extra clothes to you compared to his other helpers. He is nice, right? Mrs. Jones said, taking out the clothes from the bag, looking at the clothes in awe, because they looked kinda expensive. Mr. Taehyung gave expensive clothes to all of his helpers. He is so kind-hearted, right? Mrs. Jones smiled, and Jungkook nodded his head, walking out of the quarters. He was looking at the mansion, standing at a distance with a sad face. He saw Tae was strolling in his garden, laughing with Youngjae. Thank you for showing me my worth in your eyes, Tae. A helper, and here I was thinking to spend my life with you. How stupid of me. Jungkook thought, wiping a single drop of tear which fell from his eye. Jungkook's heart ached when he realized that Tae had never seen him as more than a helper. He took a deep breath as he walked back to the helper quarters. Next morning, Jungkook was standing in front of the mirror fixing his necktie. Mrs. John came towards her son holding a glass of banana milk. Whoa, my Jungkook looks so handsome in his new school uniform. Mrs. John smiled, pinching her son's cheek. Thank you, Mom. Of course I am, because I am your son. Jungkook winked playfully at his mother. I know I am beautiful, but stop flirting with me, because I am your mother. Mrs. John laughed, hitting Jungkook's back playfully. Here, drink this. Mrs. Jones smiled. Jungkook's eyes shined when he saw his favorite banana milk made by his mom. He grabbed that glass, drinking the whole thing in a go. Jungkook burped cutely, giving the glass back to Mrs. John. Stop drinking like a toddler, Cook. You're going to be an adult next year, Mrs. Jones said, wiping Jungkook's lips with her fingers. And Jungkook laughed cutely. So it is your high school's first day. Study well, Cook, but don't overwork yourself, okay? Mrs. Jones said, and Jungkook smiled, nodding his head, saying yes. He widened his eyes when he looked at his watch. God, Mom, I'm gonna miss the bus. I gotta go. Bye, Mom, Jungkook said, hugging his mother, running towards the door. I packed sandwich for you. Don't forget to eat, son, Miss Jones said with a sigh. Yes, Mom, Jungkook yelled, running out of the quarters. Tae sighed sadly, looking at himself at the mirror, wearing his new uniform. Tae, you would have complimented me if you were there with me now, Mama, Tae whispered, looking at his late mother's photo, kept above his dressing table. Dad is so busy, and he didn't even bother to encourage me on my first day of high school. Well, I don't blame him. Because of him, I'm living this luxurious life today. If you were here now, I'm sure you would have told me to take care of myself, eat food on time, make friends and study well, Tae mumbled, crying to himself. I crave for your love, Mom. I didn't get to feel Mother's love since you died. I miss you like crazy, Mom. I love you. Since you're not here with me, I made everyone my family here, but they still treat me professionally, not as their son. Am I that bad, Mama, that nobody loves me? Even you left me alone. Tae cried loudly, keeping his mother's photo frame against his chest. Tae's mansion was so big, and no one heard him crying his heart out.